Sitting here at work, I'm just pissed off. I haven't seen much of my son this year. I didn't get him for the summer because of this damn virus, and I'm pissed about that. At the end of September, I found out that my wife of 5 years is cheating on me. I've spent most of my time doing the FBI thing, which has been a giant can of worms with no apparent bottom. I've had this nasty woman in my house, and I have to sit there pretending that nothing is wrong, when I just want to throw everything at her and kick her out. My lawyer just keeps telling me, not yet. I haven't slept in my bed for almost 2 months. I'm going to burn that when she's gone. I've had no sex, which has caused her to accuse me of cheating. If she tries to hug or kiss me, I have to sit there and take it, even though it makes me want to vomit. When I look at her, I see bugs crawling all over her. I want her gone, but it's just not yet, not yet, not yet. There's not much left to burn on my fuse. It's like being locked in a big room with someone, and there's just a table there. The room echoes, and they start tapping on the table, tapping and tapping, until you just want to flip the table and strangle them. I can't even talk to anybody about it right now because it's always not yet, not yet, not yet. I'm angry at myself and disappointed in myself for putting myself in this position, to let someone do this to me again. I just want this to be over. And I miss my son. I got home late Sunday. It's a 1,400-mile drive. This was good. I really didn't want to see or talk to her. I was tired. I went to my chair and slept. I haven't slept well in 2 months. I've lost 15 pounds. I look and feel awful. But it was the first 8 hours of sleep I had gotten in a while. Monday, my wife tried to initiate some intimacy. I just cannot get it up for this woman. My Johnson is up bright and early before me every morning, so this is nothing physical with me, it's just that, for once, my dick is in total agreement with my mind and heart. This upset her, and we got into a pretty heated argument. I told her maybe it was something wrong with me. I'm 50 years old, this stuff happens. She started insinuating again that I'm cheating on her. She said that I'm not being a good husband. I haven't been intimate with her in over 2 months. I haven't told her I loved her in over 2 months. Clearly, I'm doing something behind her back. I mean, she tried to gaslight me. Yeah. I was doing something behind her back. I was piecing everything together. D-Day for me was September 25th. I work in collision repair, specifically on the vehicles considered train wrecks. On September 25th, I wound up cutting my leg open on a truck I was working on. That was a trip to the emergency room. I got 5 stitches inside my leg and 34 stitches on the outside. It was pretty bad. I got put on some hefty painkillers, and there was no way I was going to drive. So, I called my wife. No answer. Called 5 minutes later. No answer. Called again, no answer. Texted her, babe. Pick up, I need you. Call me. Called her again, no answer. More texts. Nothing. About an hour and a half of this. So, I got an Uber to take me home. We turned onto my street, came in view of my house, and she was standing in our doorway, completely kissing the GM of where she works. I told the driver to stop. This wasn't a peck, folks, they were deeply kissing. She was supposed to be at work. I pulled out my phone, took a couple of pictures, and told the driver to keep driving. I had him take me back to work. I sat there in the break room for 4 hours. Head down on the table. Numb. Heartbroken. When the painkillers wore off, I drove home, in pain from my leg and from everything going through my head. She wasn't home when I got there. She came home a couple of hours later. She acted all concerned. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. I don't know. I asked how her day was, and she made up some story about work that day. I know it was false. A week later, I learned for the first time that she hasn't worked a Friday in 3 years. I've never really used Reddit much. It was always there, but I had no real interest in it until then. I was looking for information on dealing with infidelity, and this sub showed up along with YouTube videos. So, I read stuff here, just trying to find out what the heck I should be doing right now. I was reading about all the red flags and just saying yep. Well, that fits her to a T. Always on the phone. Always texting. For some reason, can't answer my calls or texts. She had no idea until last Monday that I had sat in the emergency room trying to call her, texting her. In 2 whole months, she had not looked at our chat log. At all. She was yelling at me that I need to be a better husband. That I'm not doing enough for her. I got so upset, I grabbed my phone, opened the chat log, and shoved it in her face. Showed her those unanswered texts. I rarely raise my voice, but I yelled at her that the one time I needed her to be there for me, I got ignored. She pulled out her phone, looked. Then she left the house for a couple of hours. When she came back, she apologized and then lied right to my face. Oh, she had a hard day at work that day. Didn't notice because she was so busy. The truth is she didn't know about the calls and texts because she was too busy with her boss in my house to answer her phone. In the time between that day and now, I've snooped her phone, her laptop, and her iPad. I learned I could look at all her stuff from one of her old phones. I've installed cameras in the house. I had her served yesterday. For those asking, I wasn't in a good state of mind to write about it yesterday. Still not really, but I will get it off my chest. I woke up and left the house, got myself some breakfast while waiting for her to leave for work. Rented a truck, went back home, and changed the locks. My friend and her husband came over, he brought a friend, and we packed up her things. We loaded up our bedroom furniture that I got her as a wedding gift, my couch, my dining table. Just all the furniture she defiled. Took it to storage. Put all her clothes in garbage bags. Was going to throw her dirty clothes in with the clean, but my friend wouldn't let me. We got done after 11 a.m. Around lunchtime, I bought flowers and chocolates and went to her work. I went in, gave her the flowers and candy, gave her a big hug and a kiss. She was all smiles and blushes. Her coworkers were doing the that's so sweet thing. I told her that I would love to take her to lunch, but I had to go get a checkup on my leg, but to not make plans for the night because I wanted to give her a night she would remember. I gave her a goodbye kiss and started walking out. At this point, I'm going to start calling her GM, Tom or Foot. As I was leaving, I saw her boss and gave him a big smile and said, "Hey, Tom, how are you?" Gave him a wave and left. Then I went and got some lunch. At 2 p.m. a deputy would be walking into my wife's work to serve her. At 2 p.m., I was standing in front of Foot's house. I texted him the picture I took on the day I caught them. I took a selfie in front of his house and sent that too. I knocked on the door and Mrs. FT answered. She knows me a bit from parties and things my wife's work had. I told her that my wife and her husband were having an affair. She didn't believe me. I showed her that first picture I took and I showed her a selfie they took while my wife was with him on my couch. And she slapped me. I just stood there and she started crying. I gave her a thumb drive with everything pertaining to my wife and her husband that I had. I told her my wife was cheating on me with multiple men, get checked for STDs. I gave her my lawyer's card and my number. Then she asked why I was doing this to her. And to be honest, why did I do that? I hurt her pretty badly. I feel like the biggest jerk for doing that. I told her she had a right to know and felt terrible for giving her that answer. As I was leaving, that's when my phone started blowing up. Didn't answer any calls or texts. I just went home. When I got home, I changed my FB status to divorced. I started reading the texts from my wife. What is this? What are you doing? All that stuff. I messaged her back and told her she could come to the house at 7 p.m. and not 1 minute before to get her clothes. Apparently, Foot didn't tell her what I did right away, as I imagine he had his own problems at the moment. But my wife sent me a text a little later berating me for telling Mrs. FT. So he did tell her. My friend that covered up for my wife, I'll call her Amber, started calling me. So I answered. I answered with, "How long have you known that my wife and Foot were having an affair? Please don't lie to me." And she told me what I suspected. The whole time. Since before my wife and I had met. The whole time. All this time, I was the side piece. My whole marriage is a sick joke. Let me tell you, that's a bitter pill to swallow. I asked her why she didn't tell me. She said it's because they thought I would get violent and such. I told her that she knew me better than that. She said she kept it secret because she was her friend. What about me? Wasn't ya friend? I asked her if she knew her husband was cheating, wouldn't she want me to tell her? As a friend, wouldn't I be obligated to let her know something she should know? She said yes. So I hung up and sent her pictures my wife had taken of her and her husband and texted her back with my lawyer's number and said that my lawyer has everything I know. Then I told her never to contact me again. At about 4 p.m., my wife showed up at the house and found out about the locks. She started banging on the door and yelling. I didn't answer. She tried calling again. I turned my ringer off. Then she broke a window and left. At close to 7 p.m., 2 deputies parked out front. One is one of the people that helped me move stuff earlier. His wife showed up, also my friend. 7 p.m. rolls around and my wife showed up. She looked pretty subdued. Pretty sure she and Amber had gotten into it by then. I gave her clothes, the storage key and address, my lawyer's card. Told her that all contact with me will be through her. My wife started with the "I love you" crap. We can work this out, she's sorry, she loves me, a mistake, she doesn't love them, it didn't mean anything. I just pointed at my lawyer's card. She said that it's her house too and I can't kick her out. I told her it's my home and that she literally made a mistake that cost her it. This is when she got really loud. All the "I love yous" turned into "I hate yous" and insults. The deputies turned on their lights and neighbors had come out to watch the drama. I remained fairly calm and had my hands at my side through this. She kept screaming at me. I think she might have been drinking. She started crying that she had nowhere to go, and when I told her that I don't care. Well, I learned something new about my wife, she can throw a right hook. Gave me a fat lip and a bloody nose. I didn't move. I just stood there and let her do it. She tried scratching my face. The deputies restrained her. I declined pressing charges. Told them to just make her leave. They filed an incident report so I could get a TRO. Actually, I'm glad she did that. When she left I went back in, and while I was cleaning myself up, all that stuff I should have been feeling for the last 2 months started to hit me. I'm pretty exhausted right now. I thought I would feel better after this all got out. I don't. I'm not someone prone to crying, but I've been doing a lot of that since last night. There are almost 600 unanswered texts and calls on my phone and growing. I'm going NC with our mutual friends. I don't want any of them trying to mediate things. I'll sort them out some other time. I didn't call my son last night. I've always called him every night. I'll tell him tonight. He'll probably not be upset by the news. He wasn't fond of her. I met with her and her lawyer today. I didn't get everything I wanted, but I got enough. We signed for an uncontested divorce. It will be official in about 2 months. That's the good news. I feel some relief from this, but I'm really sad about the whole thing. First off, she did not, or could not, look at me through almost the entire proceeding. I'm not going to pretend to know what was going through her mind, but I would like to think she didn't have the courage to look me in the eye. She got a decent lawyer, at least he knew he got handed a challenging case. They asked if reconciliation was possible, and we did dangle it, even though it is not possible. We asked for full disclosure of what she did. He had already had her write it out. What she wrote down, however, was less than what I already know. I read what she wrote down, and conveniently, the 2 fellows I didn't know the identity of were not included in it. My lawyer produced stills from the camera footage. Who's this? And who's this? Well, she wasn't very forthcoming with him either. They asked us to step out. We did. I didn't catch every word, but he didn't sound too pleased. When we came back in, I got a more truthful version. The 2 guys were online hookups and very recent. She'd been having an affair with Foot for more or less the whole time I've known her. She said she broke it off with him some time after I proposed and until about a year into our marriage. I think I believe her on that. I mean, I shouldn't believe anything she says, but I did ask if she was ever faithful during our marriage. She started with FP, my coworker, Amber's husband, on July 4th of 2019. We had a 4th barbecue and she was intimate with him then, at my house. While I was there. She said she didn't love him, she just got off on it. During this year, she just got bolder and started hooking up with random guys from online sites. I'm pretty sure she probably had some parking lot hookups and such, but I didn't press on that. I asked the attorneys to give us the room for a bit because I wanted to ask her some private questions. They walked out. I asked her why. Not why she cheated, but why she married me. Why didn't she say no? She said she loved me. Hey. Great way of showing it. She wanted to be married. She wanted the security. I was good in bed. But she's loved Foot for 10 years. He wasn't leaving his wife and her clock was ticking. So I was a backup plan basically. She said I made her happy, but she wanted what she wanted. For those asking, they have both been fired. Amber raised quite a commotion at work. I didn't need to make a fuss about anything. My soon-to-be ex-wife is living with her parents. I don't know what Foot and Mrs. FT are doing. I was told it is none of my business. I think he is trying to stay married. If he stays married, I may have to confront him. I asked if there was anything else I ought to know. She told me she had an abortion 2 years ago because she didn't know who the father was. Wow. That was a low blow. In the beginning, we tried to have a kid, but we opted for the quit trying and enjoy the intimacy approach. I would have loved to have another kid. Like a daughter I could spoil rotten. I had unprotected intimacy with my wife nearly daily. There's a huge chance this child was mine. I will never know. This was enough to make me get up and walk out. Y'all can talk about a bullet dodged. I'm just thinking she terminated my child. If anyone here has ever done any boxing, there's a point where the blows just keep coming, but you don't feel them. I mean, they're doing damage, but it doesn't hurt like the first few punches. It's just too much, and you get numb to them. This is where I am at. She could tell me she started the Chicago fire, and I would not be surprised. I called the lawyers back in. Told me to go to Plan B. Plan B is to take my demand for alimony off of the table. I want the divorce agreement uncontested and signed. This is the fastest way. I wanted to say condition 2 to reconcile was for her to undo all those other interactions, you know, something impossible, but there's no point in being clever here. I won't lie, the abortion has me rattled. I don't want a monthly reminder of this woman, even in the form of a paycheck. So at 5:43 p.m., she signed. In around 2 months, it will be official. I keep my house, my retirement funds, all my property, no alimony for either of us. She gets $73,000 from our savings, is not to contact me ever, and we are done. I do not care what happens to her now. I don't want to know what she'll do. I don't care. For her own good and anyone she meets in the future, I hope she sees a therapist. But I am done caring about this woman. I, in no way, feel like a weight has been lifted off of me. I've eaten a terrible sandwich and this is all I can taste. I've had nothing to be happy about for 3 months, and I am not happy now. I don't see that in my future, like at all. That abortion has been on my mind since she said it. I think it's going to be there for a long time. I don't know what I'm going to do in the immediate future or long term. Maybe when this is all finalized, I'll feel some kind of release. I don't know. Right now, I just want to be left alone. No more "aw man, so sorry to hear that" or any of that. Right now, I just want quiet. This whole time I've been thinking about everything I've ever done, and I don't see anywhere where I have done right, only where I've gone wrong. I know this is an awful mindset to have, but it's what I'm left with. All I can say is at least I got to keep my stuff this time. But I won't be doing this again. The decree showed up in the mail today. Snowmageddon slowed things down a bit. Oddly, I'm neither happy nor sad about this. Some friends wanted to celebrate this, but I've never felt that failure is a cause for celebration. Actually, I'm a bit numb. I'm sure it'll hit me later, out of the blue. She called me today. I picked up. I figured what's done is done, so I talked to her. She's messed up, more than I am. She didn't apologize. She asked what good would that do. I honestly don't know if she really regrets what she did to me, but it really doesn't matter now. Her folks. This is tough. My son is as close to having a grandchild as they've ever got. He's asked me if it's okay to communicate with them. I'm fine with that, but how do I talk to them without her being in the conversation? These people just wreck everything, don't they? I really liked her dad. They are, as close to having relatives from my side of the family as my son will ever have. Also, my chihuahua, I've named Dulce. Thank you to whoever suggested that. It really rolls off the tongue. She kept me warm through Snowmageddon. 5 days with no power or heat and below freezing temperatures, and she kept the bed warm like a little trooper. Anyhow, I'm going to take a long break from here. Maybe until I feel like dating or looking for something casual. I've always had that doubt in the back of my head. She doesn't love me. She'll leave. She'll break me. It's screaming at me now. Right now, I'm good. That fear of stove burners is a good thing. I need a lot of time. I'm going to give myself that. I wish all of you the best. Just because we've been let down, doesn't mean we are worthless. Stay strong. I love all of you. I started therapy in July. I'm dealing with a lot of things in it. This latest round of infidelity. Talking about it with you and a therapist. I have issues related yet unrelated to deal with. To put it bluntly, I want to reconcile with my sister. She is all I have left. I honestly wonder if I have the courage to do it because I've held a grudge for so long. I want my son to know family members from my side who are actually related by blood, not just my friends that he calls uncle or aunt. This is something my first experience with infidelity has cost me. I want some things back. If she's willing to talk to me, then I'll talk with her. I'm pretty sure my cousin will facilitate this. I know I advocate for leaving everyone who won't back you, but it has been nearly 3 decades. My parents are dead. My brother is dead. There's just my sister left. My therapist is on board with this. I just need to work up the courage to extend the olive branch. I don't want to hold a grudge forever. I believe I was right to cut ties with them all, but I don't want this anymore. I have custody of my son indefinitely, and I'd like to be able to give him some semblance of normalcy. I don't miss my ex, nor my first ex. I do miss my sister. I have let my first wife dictate all of my relationships for far too long. Sometimes I just feel haunted. I believe it will be a good thing. Maybe if I get back some of what I lost, I will be able to move forward. I'm not hung up on my ex. But I am hung up on my past. And for those that want to know. No, I don't know how my ex is doing. I don't talk to her. No, I don't know how Amber is doing. She's been completely removed from my life like the unpleasant memory that she is. I don't know how my ex's associates are doing. I have only one concern for all of those people, but it is the only concern I have, and I don't feel like parting with it. In 1 hour, it will be exactly 1 year since I served my ex with divorce papers. I woke up in a good mood, went for a run, made breakfast for my boy, and went to work. The day was going well, and I had no issues mentally. 10:30 a.m. rolls around, and I get called up to the office. There was a delivery of cookies for me from my ex, the same thing she'd do every year. I told the folks in the office they could have them. Our CSR asked who the cookies were from, so I told her. No one's touched them yet. I'm a little annoyed that someone told her where I work now. Other than that, I'm still in a fairly decent mood. She's got other methods of prodding at me to let me know she's out there. Her favorite is to be late on her car payment, so the finance company calls me. Guess this is one more. I came home to a surprise party. I was greeted with barbecue and beer. I love my friends. They thought I might need cheering up, but honestly, aside from the cookies, my day was pretty good. This was just a great end to the day.